Greetings and welcome to another Scape Shot. Magebit here. I've got a good lineup for you today. We'll be covering numerous topics, including the free item of the month, Revolution updates in the Clockwork event, the potential rewards for the Clockwork event, data mined, patch notes, and we have the results to the polls. Stay tuned. We'll be starting shortly. Greetings and welcome to another Scape Shot. It's Magebit, and it's just Magebit today. As my new schedule kind of falls in place, I assume eventually we'll get some co-hosts that fit for this scheduled block. Maybe we need new co-hosts. Wink wink. If you're catching this live, welcome. If not, enjoy the show. As previously mentioned, we have a little smattering of topics here. And if you're unfamiliar with the Scape Shot series, well, it's just a little bit of RuneScape Weekly to help you get you through your week. Now that the official shows are back on Fridays, Scape Shots can take a little bit of the burden off of themselves and be, once again, more a little bit just kind of laid back and just a few topics. And then, of course, the meat and potatoes happens on Friday. And you can tune into that too live if you'd like to on twitch.tv/Magebit. It'll be uploaded to YouTube after the fact. But we had some problems with that last VOD. It took me until literally this morning, Monday, to finally get that VOD up and working. The original one was muted after like 30 minutes or something, just for no real good reason. There's some problems on our end, of course, but we managed to rectify the situation. And I do apologize for the wait if you are a YouTube-only person. I'm going to sneeze, so I'm going to mute myself. There we go. Sorry about that. It is a very humid, pollen-y morning here in Boston. But, yeah. So I apologize if you are primarily YouTube and had to wait for RuneScape Weekly until Monday, but it was available at Magebit.tv as a VOD, and it was on RuneScape.today, our podcast. So there are other ways if you're desperate. Wink, wink. How many winks am I gonna get into this show? I'm not sure. But why don't we get in to our topics here? I don't have anyone to really bounce off of here, so I'm gonna just kind of keep things rolling along. And quickly, I just wanted to mention the free item of the month is the Burning Truth, which sounds mildly unpleasant. The Burning Truth is a skin available in Solomon's General Store, generally costing 177 rune coins, or 160 if you're a member, but not today. No, not this month, actually. It is free, and it will replace the appearance of any two-handed magic weapon, so staves mainly. So if you were looking to get your hands on the Burning Truth, if maybe that was an item you wanted at one point, well, it's free right now. So go grab it. We'll continue along here and move along to the first main topic of the day, being coming from the official Jagex website here, or runescape.com rather, going like clockwork and Revolution updates. First up, Revolution updates. Long awaited. We've been talking about this since RuneFest. Very hyped myself for this. It's going to make combat significantly easier. I assume this was brought into the game mainly to contend with the mobile market that's coming up, you know, early next year. I believe it's in like March or April of next year is the estimated launch of the RuneScape mobile client. And, well, this seems to just be a precursor to it, in my opinion. But, of course, this also helps out individuals like myself that just don't do well with combat. So this is going to be a good thing for people like me, at least. So Revolution updates. Revolution is now more laid back than ever. With enough adrenaline, you can now automatically trigger thresholds and ultimates, and with a resizable window, you can now tailor exactly how many of your abilities should be automatic. Furthermore, to ensure that a balance is struck when fighting monsters in different modes, we've increased the average floor damage given by both legacy combat and special attacks. Legacy PvM combat has had its minimum hit up to 33% of the damage potential, and that's up from 0%. And special attacks in Legacy and DOC have been buffed to shift 20% of random damage onto the existing damage floor that existed for them. Killer Bunny saying, thanks for the update on Burning Truth. No problem. Glad to be of assistance. Grab it while it's free, of course, right? Everything is great when it's free. So, we have a new revolution system in the game. The revolution of revolution. The evolution of revolution. I don't know what you want to call it, but hey, it's here. And it's going to make combat moderately easier for people who struggle with combat, I suppose. It's going to make it more AFK with, especially for Slayer, I would assume. It's going to be taking out of the equation having to look when you need to fire off an ultimate or a threshold to just put them in the order you want them to fire off, and they'll do so as long as you have the adrenaline, and that's pretty cool. So there you go. We also have, for whatever reason, they decided to announce this now instead of, I don't know, when it actually is coming out, which I was reading the forums just trying to figure out, like, is this in-game? Is this in-game? When this comes in-game, I'm going to be playing, like, full-time just to get all the benefits here, but I was playing this morning thinking, oh, yeah, and then I wasn't getting any of the rewards, and I was getting suspicious through the dates mentioned, yada, 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 and, turns out this specific event is not coming out until the 13th, which it says right in the article. It's just, why announce it in game updates is all I want to know. Anyway, I guess they wanted to make the update document look longer than it was? I don't know. Conspiracies. Anyway, this is called Going Like Clockwork, and it says, it's going to feel a lot like Christmas, and we're getting into the spirit of things with our new November event, Going Like Clockwork. Santa is going on annual leave from the 13th until the 26th of November to emotionally prepare himself for the frantic festive season. In his absence, Ira, the head elf, has been left in charge. But all is not merry, especially among the mischievous snow implings who resent Santa's me-time. They've made their misery known by stealing all the pieces of Santa's prized clockwork toy and hiding them around Gielinor. Save Santa his sensibilities by collecting 10,000 clockwork pieces and returning them to Ira in Berthorpe before the boss returns. Skilling, PvM, and completing daily challenges all yield pieces, as does catching snow implings. Don't fret, you'll be amply rewarded for your troubles. If you have pieces to spare, why not cash them in for mystery boxes? In them are Christmas items from 2014 to 2015, as well as the usual fair yield. So, you know, your typical stars, lamps, stuff like that, probably feathers and feathers down, rather, and, you know, this springs, dungeoneering tokens, that kind of garbage you'll get along in these boxes. Your typical reward boxes from those types of events. All such prizes are now tradable as well. I don't know exactly what they mean by all such prizes are now tradable. I assume that they're just making, like, it says Christmas items from 2014 to 2015. Are they tradable now? Perhaps. That would be interesting. So let's talk rewards, though. They don't mention any of the rewards specifically here. So we can't just, I don't know. We can't just say these are the rewards, I guess, is what I'm trying to say. But these have been data mined from the Reddit page for Runescape. I'm like, the what? My brain is malfunctioning. I'm not used to doing shows at 10 o'clock in the morning anymore. Ha. But yeah, these are the Clockwork event rewards that were data mined from the RuneScape database here. I can't guarantee that these are going to be the final rewards. There won't be any modifications, nor can I speculate on exactly what some of these are. Some of these are quite obvious. Other ones, Not so much. All right, so first up here we have an item called Norm, which is it's a gnome with an R in it, but it's a clockwork gnome. It looks like it's possibly a pet of some sort. I'll make I gotta bring the items up larger on my screen here, so I could be more descriptive. So it just looks like your typical clockwork work with in the shape of a little gnome, your typical RuneScape gnome, and it looks like it's a follower pet of some variety or degree. And yeah, there it is, and that's cool. Follower pets are always interesting. This item does not appear to be a token, so I assume this is just an unlockable from the event. And I say that because some of these are actually in token form here. There will also be a clockwork lemon, which again, I don't know what that means. Again, I don't know if this is supposed to be. It's literally a lemon with a clockwork device attached to it that just doesn't make any visual sense to me. Looks like someone slapped a windmill blade on a lemon and called it a day. I'm not sure if that's like, maybe it's an auto-peeling lemon. I don't understand. I'd be very interested to know what this actually is. Maybe it's just a troll. Who knows? So I mean, again, you can take these with a grain of salt, but these ones seem pretty typical here. We have a Snoverload plush token. So if you did not get a Snoverload in previous years, now's your chance to get that in the form of a token, which means, of course, it's resellable. Anything in token form can be sold on the GE. So I assume this is what they were referring to as these items are now tradable. The Norm or Gnome and the Clockwork Lemon are not in token form, so they may unlock and not be tradable. There's also the Mammoth plush token, making a resurgence from previous years, so that's another option that you can receive. Penguin plush also going to be available for you there, so you could check that out as well. And the Buddy Pet token, if you didn't get Buddy in previous years, you will now be able to do so in the form of a token. So if you did already receive them, you can sell them off to somebody who doesn't have them already. And finally here we have the Christmas Loot Beam token. So finally, if you didn't have a chance to get that Loot Beam in previous years, you'll be able to get that Loot Beam once again. It's my favorite Loot Beam. It's the one I've been activating for the skill and chills, mainly for dungeoneering every room. It's like opening a present. How can you not like that? That's one way to turn dungeoneering into an enjoyable activity. You just add presents. That's how you do it. Anyway, so that is the events. I will quickly speculate on the Going Live Clockwork event. So again, this sounds like your typical like all the previous events. I just basically every time they have one of these events, I just refer to the previous event as how to describe it. So it's going to be similar to the charity event, right? It's going to be similar to all of those previous events, just skilling in game, PVM in game. Any activity that gains you some sort of XP is going to enable this currency to be added to your currency pouch or inventory, which, why wouldn't you put it in your currency pouch? You're wasting an inventory space. Come on, get with the times. But, so, you know, just a simple event like that where it's just kind of a passive event. Personally, these are my favorite types of events that just kind of happen alongside your normal gameplay. It kind of just goes along with whatever you want to do. And I think those events fit in nicely for kind of obvious reasons, being that they don't require you to deviate from your normal style of gameplay. I don't think that all events should be like that. Of course, you know, when you get into more of the holiday season events like your Halloweens and your Christmases and Easters and all those lame holidays that we celebrate every year ad nauseum, you know, those I think deserve their own separate piece of content that requires you to actually go out and you know, do the event, enjoy it, have fun with it. But these types of events are more like, hey, you know, we're just kind of paying homage to, you know, something without taking your focus away from what you're doing. I've learned that event after event after event after event can be very overwhelming. There was another game that I was playing for the summer and a little bit of the fall, and I've winded down on it a bit. It's called Elvenar. It's a good game. It's fun if you like city building and stuff like that. It's a little bit pay to win, you know, like all well MMO style games are these days. And one of my major issues with it is it constantly is running events. It goes from one event to another. And the major difference between RuneScape events and these types of events are, simply put, they are just constant grinds to the point where I can't focus on furthering my city. I have to, like, decide between whether or not I want to work on my city or work on this event, and it just takes up all your time, considering, and this is one of those kind of like time-gated style games. I almost said Clash of Clans, but it's not, in the sense of it's not as pay to win, but it is time-gated, so like you have to put patience in. And when you're constantly trying to be patient on something else, but this event's stealing all your resources and your time, it's hard to be patient, and you want to put money into it to kind of balance the two more, evenly. And I'm just noticing that deceptive kind of gameplay is really kind of, it's psychologically taxing and addicting. And I've kind of winded down on that game because of that. I think it's a little unhealthy. Killer Bunny saying, a nice part of these events is usually there are 2 to 3 skills that grant you more per proc. Also, hopefully they are unlimited, so you're able to collect a great many, and they are always super valuable when going for double XP on a skill. Yeah, definitely. Like these types of events, not only do they not interrupt your typical gameplay style, but they are very rewarding, and it doesn't matter that they're very rewarding in the sense that, like, it doesn't disrupt what you're doing, so it's kind of cool that it's very rewarding, and I agree, especially for double XP. The last event, I collected, 40,000 of those tokens from the charity event, and I didn't unlock any of the cosmetics. I went directly for the XP and got like 3-4 million bonus XP. I got like 1 million dungeoneering tokens as well, and a couple million coins. All from just fletching AFK, and that's fully what I plan to do again when this event launches, because, even though I haven't been playing much because of the content drought, things like this will get me back into the game just because they're too good to pass up, really. And, like, the Halloween event got me back into the game for, my Sunday skill and shield that I was going to do anyway. But these types of things where they're silly to not do, almost. If you have any enjoyment in the game whatsoever and you can bring yourself to play, these are the time periods that really it will appeal to you the most. And if you're not already maxed, at least, and you're not, there's not content for you at the time. Like for myself, there's I could be doing comp work, but I don't want to. So I'm really just kind of like either waiting for quests or what else is there for me to do, right? 120s, and my 120 grind kind of was like, I don't know. With the content drought, with me not knowing when there was anything kind of cool coming into the game, it kind of dissuaded me from participating in the 120 grind. So I put that on hold for a little while, but I can feel the itch coming back. I can feel it coming, and this might actually be what pushes me back into the game. I might start back when this event starts, as far as like going full time, at least on one of my monitors here, and and seeing where that goes. But it very well might pull me back in. I'm really waiting for that clue scroll rework in January. That's gonna really, I think, reinvigorate me. But either way, these types of events are really good for everyone, really, and I assume that maybe you'll be able to participate in some way with rune coins or something. That's generally something you can do in these types of events if you don't want to spend the time to unlock the prizes. Occasionally, they will let you purchase them with rune coins. That hasn't been said in this document, so it's very well possible that they omitted that specifically, and this may be one of those events because of the fact that there are previous Christmas items and that maybe you just have to win them. I don't know. We'll have to find out. But it's interesting to note that they specifically left that information out of this event, when generally they do mention that, hey, you can kind of scoop up the rewards if you didn't want to kind of go and do them all on your own. But this could be different than normal events. Anyway, I'm looking forward to going like clockwork. And I'm also really happy that the Revolution update has finally made it into the game. I will probably be trying that out on one of the skill and chills. You know, I'll probably do dungeoneering or something like that to see it in action. Also, just want to quickly mention, of course, Lootscape. Do you watch Runescape's live streams? If not, why? Lootscape is an all-new way for you to get yourself some awesome in-game goodies by watching their live streams every month. Just connect your Runescape account with your Twitch account and tune in on one of our Tuesday or Friday live streams to get some free stuff. So, yeah, there's all new drops in-game as far as if you watch their live streams, you get access to a new follower pet, you get access to possible lamps and stars and things like that in these Twitch boxes. So all you have to do is tune into the live stream and just be there for when they give that away. Just, you know, have it open in a browser window, not that hard to do. And bam, it will be credited to your account. And you can be on mobile too, which is pretty cool. So just be watching the video and it gets credited to your RuneScape account. So I just wanted to mention that because, you know, it's pretty cool. Anyway, we're going to keep on moving along here. This is the problem when I'm by myself. Scape shots are designed to be short by nature, but also I just got no one to bounce off of here. So I'm just like, I'm leading off with all my prime information, and then bam, it's out the window. We got some patch notes to go over here real quick, though. This is a fairly lengthy patch notes, but a lot of it's taken up by redundant information, so there will be a portion that I will skip down. You'll see in a second here. Anyway, so first up, ninja fixes. The ability to quick travel to temple trekking is now available on the Mortmire Swamp entrance gates via the right-click option instead of a toggle. The highest tier of menagerie pet houses now have up to 30 slots, up from 25. I've heard that there might be a bug with that. Some people experiencing still 25 slots, even when they had a 30-slot menagerie. So just if you encounter that bug, submit a bug report, let them know. Players can now dismiss pets directly from their menagerie. Coins obtained via the Queen Black Dragon loot chest will now move to the money pouch when claimed. Flameburst defenders now provide the effects of a real defender. The interface layout presets have been updated to better resize and handle tertiary interfaces, such as the Slayer counter for both standard and legacy modes. XP lamps awarded for completing heroes' quests are no longer members' objects. 6th Age quests are now marked in the quest journal, with similar messaging to 5th Age quests. Several agnostic quests have been recategorized as 5th Age quests. The quest list now has an option to categorize quests into 5th and 6th Age. The process category in the quest list now displays completed quests at the bottom of the list instead of in the middle. A quest accept interface has been added to a bunch of quests. That is the easiest way that I can say that without just literally reading off the name of about 30 to 40 different quests here. Like, I'm literally just filling time as I scroll down here. Killer Bunny saying the limited amount per day they allowed rune coins to unlock more per day. Yeah, they did that, the whole booster thing. They got rid of that, of course, now that the events are unlimited. They have been leaving a few items from the cosmetics unobtainable unless you spend the rune coins, like leaving a cape or something only unlockable through rune coins. I would prefer that they just allowed all of the items to be purchasable with rune coins that are not previous years. Like, don't do that, obviously, but have the current year's events if you want them, you know, a couple hundred rune coins, whatever, for certain things, and then you can also win them through the event at random if you want to as well. That's how I would do it, but they didn't mention that this year, so it's very well possible that that's not what they're going to do. The following quests now award XP lamps containing the quest reward XP. Goblin Diplomacy now awards a 200 crafting XP lamp, 200 XP crafting XP lamp. Vampire Slayer now awards 4825 attack XP per lamp, requiring 10 attack. The Knight's Sword Quest now awards 12,725 smithing XP, requiring 28 smithing. Dragon Slayer now awards 2 XP lamps, 18,650 strength XP and defense XP, requiring 50 strength and defense respectively. Gertrude's Cat. This is all just XP, really, so I'll bring it down a tiny bit to not just bore you with XP numbers, but a bunch of quests had their XP adjusted there, as you can see. We'll move along to skills, D&Ds, and minigames. Every summoning scroll now has a tooltip of what the effect is. The following summon scrolls have been updated. The Abyssal Drain Scroll now heals up to 50 prayer points, up from 5. That's a pretty significant change there. The Spirit Dagonoth, Desert Worm, Minotaur, and Arctic Bear scrolls now bind the target correctly. The Lava Titan scroll now drains 5% adrenaline correctly. The Stranger Plant and Swamp Titan scrolls now poison for up to 200 damage, up from 20. The Zekhi's scroll now damage up to 5 targets, up from 2. The Vampire Bat scroll now heals the player for 50% of the damage dealt, up from a fixed 100 life points. The Bloated Leech scroll now won't heal if health is below 600, up from 60, and deals 100 damage, up from 10. The Spirit Scorpion scroll now works by applying weapon poison to the player for 30 seconds. The Luck of the Dwarves ring now affects the chance of receiving offhand Kopesh and Kadarian treasure chests from Shifting Tombs. Players can now jump over the Strange Floor agility shortcut in Taverley Dungeon when on the west side, standing south of it. Corrected the spelling of ethereal components. The Sophanum Slayer dungeon chest will now warn players when discarding a single item from it. The Shooting Star and Evil Tree are no longer displayed as member-only items on the minigame's interface. Obtaining a Strange Rock will now consistently state that the rock's skill name when acquired. Moving on to quests, challenges, and achievements here. Fixed an issue where members logged into a free world and could not open reward chests in the Broken Home quest due to the member skill cap on free worlds. Completing the Dragon Slayer quest no longer displays an Ernest the Chicken achievement. Players can now reclaim a Desert Amulet 4 if they have one keepsaked already. Corrected a debug name for the Aristarchus from appearing occasionally during our Man in the North quest. Corrected a typo when Krondis speaks to the player during Crocodile Tears. Corrected a spelling of Legio Secundus in the Stand Your Ground achievement. The They All Fell Down achievement can no longer be completed in a group. And the other section here added a pop-up message when the Queen Black Dragon does her extreme Dragon Breath attack if the player is carrying an unforged Royal Crossbow. The auto setup action bar option once again checks for empty slots and collapses the abilities to the front of the action bar. The auto setup action bar option no longer adds Trout to the action bar except when undertaking Combat Academy training. Players will no longer miss 2 abilities when using the auto setup action bar option. Extra blocking has been added to some tiles northwest of the Mage Training Arena to prevent players from getting stuck. It is no longer possible to consume Great Gunkin when the player has more than the maximum number of life points. Players can now destroy a whole elite skilling outfit from a set from the backpack at once. Fixed a typo on the Adamant Dragon entrance barrier within Brimhaven. Corrected a typo in the Carol section of the Beasts tab attack descriptions. Players can now right-click Enchant via Thormac. Players now have an Enchant All option via right-clicking on the images within Thormac's Enchant interface. Corrected a typo on closed poll booths. The Staff of the Mind is now correctly found under Staves filter in the wardrobe. Moving on to graphical. And finally, fixed some stretching on the climbable wall on phase 1 of the Virago encounter. Teleporting out of V's ancient cave now clears the skybox. Graphically updated the Wilderness warning interfaces. These warnings can now be toggled on or off in the game settings via the Doomsayer Warnings interface. Updated the Port Resource Crate interface to be a lot cleaner and easier to read. And finally, graphically updated Thormac's Battlestaff shop. There you go. Those are your patch notes for the week. So finally here, we have one final kind of open topic that we've discussed on the show previously. I feel like it was at least a year ago at this point, but One of our constituents brought it to my attention, and I don't know. I don't know if they want credit or to be named. I mean, they happen to be hanging out in the live chat right now, but I'm not gonna, even mention them since no one else can really see that but me at the moment. But anyway, it was brought to my attention that Four-Tick Auto Attack is receiving some love, but in the wrong way, as far as I'm concerned. And this is the type of gameplay that I think we need to address if it's going to become the norm. And specifically, again, I'm referring to Four-Tick Auto Attack, which is a very elite version of combat. It requires a lot of input on players' behalf. And famously, of course, Runescape is a game that requires a lot of user input in some activities, at least it used to. There are still plenty of activities in which case that is true, and combat is definitely one of them. Probably one of the reasons why people love RuneScape combat so dearly is because of the skill and variance involved in said skill. But with Four-Tick Auto Attack, apparently is coming with some little controversy here, where there has been a script going around that allows people to do continuous Four-Tick Auto Attack, which is humanly possible, but let's be honest, in situations of very high tier PVM, like 500 plus Enrage, Telos, or stuff like that, Virago bosses, maybe hard mode Virago, I don't know. I'm speaking from a point of ignorance here, slightly on the subject, because I don't engage in this type of combat. However, I did want to bring up the fact that using scripts is extremely dangerous for obvious reasons. I mean, these types of scripts may make you a PVM machine. However, just because you are in control of the computer and actually performing most of your actions, it does not mean that you can fire off a script to make your actions more precise. And yes, there is no one-to-one rule, of course. That was proven false numerous times by numerous different mods. It's not about one keybind equals one action. But at the same time, the reverse is still true. If you make a single keybind do multiple actions, you are risking your account. And, a lot of these players who are very high level and making money from this, this money can be taken from you. You could receive a temp ban. These are possibilities here. And I just wanted to, again, remind people that, Four-Tick Auto Attack puts you in a whole nother league of combat. It makes you, an extremely sweaty elitist. But on the flip side, when you go and add scripting into it, you open up basically the opportunity for Jagex to come after you. And I don't know how much that's worth it. David, did you want to interject there?
Yeah, so I just wanted to say that the boost from continuous 14 auto attacking versus just using, say, a staff, and of course this is only with magic, is calculated to be around a 15% increase. To put that in perspective,
you said that's about so Four-Tick Auto Attack is about a 15% increase. Yeah, is that you are almost inaudible? Just to let you know.
I'll talk a little. Continuous is about 15%.
Continuous auto attack is about
over not 14. So
gotcha.
To put that in some perspective, that's a bigger difference between tier 80 weapons like a chaotic staff and a tier 92 like a staff of 60.
So a bigger difference between tier 80 and tier 92 in the staff department?
Yeah, and obviously accuracy comes into play there too. But the larger point is that it's one of the greatest improvements you can do to DPS possible. It's not insignificant.
Okay, yes, thank you. So it's not insignificant, it's a pretty large boost, and there's a reason why people want to be able to Four-Tick Auto Attack for these reasons, especially if you know the mechanics and you know how to perform them, you want to do them. I mean, it's going to give you a significant boost to your kill times, which is going to increase your GP per hour, obviously, your gain potential, if you will. And this is kind of a conundrum that I think Jagex can't ignore for much longer. If they've already gone all in saying 4-tick auto attack is something they want to keep around. They want to have these like level barriers to skill, and I don't have a problem with that. What I do have a problem with is the fact that people are going to just script this out, and that's the unfortunate reality of things like this. But that to be said, that is not necessarily the wrong thing. Like, players are just adapting to the type of PVM you are presenting to them. I mean, the concept of macros is not foreign in any other a game that has advanced fighting techniques. Mainly, of course, I'm going to cite World of Warcraft, which is a blatant ripoff of what EOC is a blatant ripoff of the World of Warcraft combat system, like a billion other MMOs that came before as well. Just there's so many ripoffs. Not to say that RuneScape is uniquely ripping off this system. It was a good combat system.
I think it's pretty standard at this point for ability-based combat systems to do that.
Yeah, it's like just ability-based combat systems are incredibly common throughout MMOs. They work well, and the one thing that RuneScape is missing is if they're going to continue this level of intensity in combat, macros are not necessarily an evil. And I don't want people getting themselves in trouble and banned over the fact that they are trying to keep up with this insane level of PVM when maybe they know how to do it, but they're just not capable of doing it. But at the same time, if Jagex is going to go all in on things like 4-tick auto attack, there needs to be accessibility options for these types of things, and being able to press a single key, you still need to know what that key does. You need to remember what's programmed on that key. So it doesn't take the key press out of the user's hands. You're still interacting with the game, and you have to, again, remember what you're doing and when to fire off certain set of scripts and abilities. Like, there's still a lot of challenge and work to be had when you add macros in. So I'm just wondering, and I'm wondering out loud, I suppose, as to how long this is going to go on. If combat is going to continue to get more difficult, how long before Jagex introduces their own tick system, their own macro system into the game that's based off of their own tick system, I suppose. But I don't think that they can get away with not doing that for too much longer if they want 4-tick auto attack and things like that to be the norm. So,
and let's not forget, people have been utilizing the tick system to their advantage since the early days of RS2, like with herb lore or with cooking or cutting gems, all that stuff. This is not a new concept for this game at all.
Definitely not. No, I mean, the fact that the game has a tick system has been just a fact for the past 16 and a half years. And if you can work with it and manipulate it, because, again, it's not in real time, so you have the ability to kind of foresight things if you are intuitive enough, or, once you get to that skill level, you can kind of predict what's going to happen. I can kind of do that in skilling to some degree. I'm often firing off actions ahead of the game tick or whatnot to try and keep actions queued. I don't like it. To me, it feels clunky, but other people are able to take full advantage of it as if we're in the Matrix. But point being, as these systems get more complicated, you're going to need to simplify them where, pressing the one key actually does a few different actions, so you can then, focus on the fact that these boss battles are just getting harder and harder and harder. And I feel like if these scripts are becoming normal and they're risking people's accounts, perhaps Jagex needs to find a way to bring this type of activity into the game, legitimize it, and no one's gonna use it. Like, this can't be used outside of combat, like or anything like that. Like, I don't see any real benefit to It's not like you're implementing a bot here where you can then click on a resource and it just auto clicks that resource or something like that. That's not what we're talking about here by any shape or form. But on the flip side, these people are using the same programs that do those types of activities, and that's where they're going to get themselves in trouble. And I really hope that we can either Jagex needs to go renege on their position, say, oh, whoa, we didn't we didn't want this to be the case, so we're not doing 4-tick auto attack, yada yada yada. And I don't think that's going to happen. But on the flip side, you also can't do this and keep making combat more difficult. Have this tiny little, action bar. You can have multiple, obviously, but you have these limited amount of abilities that you then have to, like you're playing a freaking piano over here and just mashing keys to do all these different things. Eventually, you hit a cap where that is just either no longer enjoyable or just no longer accessible for the average player, or even the above average player. You get into this, 1% area where I don't think that their plans are ever to develop a boss that only 1% of people can play. I don't know. Maybe they are. That just seems kind of foolish. I honestly don't know. And I hope to hear more about this topic on a PVM perspective, because I will never be able to do it justice. I wanted to come more from an angle here to just say, hey, if you're into PVM and you see this type of script floating around, maybe it's better to open a discussion with Jagex about creating an official combat macro system. Combat macro, I think, is maybe the easiest way to get around the whole macroing term as a dirty word here. This is purely, a revolution style or, EOC. I guess you could even just not give it a name like macro. You could just eliminate the word macro from the equation and just, have it like a extended ability. It's an extended ability that has the ability to trigger other abilities within itself. It has like a little tree, and you can limit to how long that tree is, how many abilities. Maybe one ability has a limit of only activating 3 other, different triggers within it or something. So it can't, be so crazy that like you press one button and your character just does everything for you. You go walk away and make a cup of tea, of course. There needs to be a limit to these types of things as well. But again, as somebody who is pretty much abstinent in the combat field, I am not the right person to talk about it. And I just wanted to kind of come at it from an account safety point of view. If you see that script going around, maybe think twice about using it and wait for an official solution. And yeah, that's going to put you maybe behind the curve, but if these scripts do eventually trigger bot watch, you'll be one of the happy few who decided to not risk their account. So better safe than sorry scenario, I guess.
Yeah, I thought you did a great job addressing it. Actually, that's good. I hadn't even really thought about it from a security perspective. I more thought about it was, is this a good direction for the game or a bad direction? But you're totally right that using scripts always risks getting caught.
Yeah, and I mean,
it's happened to many famous PVMers, streamers, whatever. It's a Camp Tech got banned for a script that looked pretty similar to this. He used it for construction, but still, just because you get caught using construction, why wouldn't you get caught also?
Yeah, I mean, the activity is irrelevant to what the script is. It's the fact that you're running that's all that Jagex really cares about is that you're running a script. I mean, you could sit there and just hang out and do, high alchemy or something. Even if you're sitting there chatting with other people, the fact that there's a script running is what's going to get you in trouble. And I'm all for adding a make X interface to high alchemy, so it does 30 to 60 at a time, so you can then sit there and chat with people or do something else and only have to look at the game every few minutes or whatever, or at least reset your activity every few minutes. I like those types of ease of access, quality of life things don't bother me at all, and neither does bringing in macros into combat. I see macros in combat as a way to expand your horizons as far as how difficult combat can be. Like it takes the floor and just drops it. Like you add this crazy new level of difficulty if you can, stack different types of actions in a single ability. I'm all for having Boolean types where it's a true or false, where you press a button and then it does one thing if one thing or another thing if another thing. I think those are valuable ways to bring in some new difficulty curves into combat, because once you've added those abilities, you can then you add another level focus of the player onto the fight. Like you can pay more attention to the fight and less attention to what key press order you're doing, which means what's happening in the arena in the environment can actually be even more challenging. So I think it would be a good thing for PVM to see a little, just a minor form of macroing come into the game, in the sense that, again, it's such a dirty word in RuneScape, and I feel dirty just saying the word macro these days. It's stupid.
And that's so weird. It's so weird.
I know.
I don't get it.
It's like every other MMO I've ever played has a macro system.
And they're built in, correct? Is that
yeah. Like Rift has one built in. World of Warcraft has one built in. I'm pretty sure Guild Wars has one built in. I could be wrong. I didn't play Guild Wars too much, but that combat looks pretty similar. I know for a fact that Rift and WoW both have them, though. Those are the other two MMOs that I've really kind of sunk my time into. And when you want to get, and when you think WoW, what do you think? You think like high-end, heart-racing combat. That's what you think about when you think about World of Warcraft. You don't necessarily think about that when you think about RuneScape, unless you've been playing in the past few years and that's relevant into your mind. But if they want to really keep up with the times and with how these PVM excursions are going, I think expanding upon the ability system that they currently have in game is the right thing to do. But that's pretty much all I have as far as that goes. And again, stay safe. Wait for an official solution. Don't risk a temp ban, because I mean, more than likely you're not going to get your account permabanned. But you could. First of all, if you have any black marks on your account, it's a possibility. And if you don't, you're still risking a good 24 to 48 hours and maybe a rollback of the gold and items you obtained during that period of time. Is that worth it? For a permanent black mark on your account, just to make yourself 15% better at combat, just to stick it to Jagex because they won't give you an official system. Complain about the problem first. There needs to be more Reddit threads about this. There needs to be more official forum threads about this. This idea needs to be talked about more instead of handed off and passed off to the underground for, shady things like this to happen.
Well, I think people are trying to keep it down low, right? Because the thought is that if it gets out there too much, then Jagex will start focusing on it. I have no idea if that's true. I don't know if mods focus on a specific thing or if it's all just their bot watch system that runs I honestly, I have no idea how it works, but I think that's the reason there aren't a bunch of posts about it.
That's fair. I mean, it's also, I think that there's also some degree of people wanting to keep other people in the dark about how good Fortic auto attack is, and they don't want this to be the new norm, because then they lose their edge to some degree as well. But yeah, I mean, the fact that it's technically against the rules it has a chilling effect, of course. Like, you're less likely to make posts about something that is clearly in a gray area, at the very least in a gray area. I mean, it's definitely against the rules to use any form of automation, and I think that needs to change a little bit. And I mean, it has over the years. The Make X interface is probably the biggest example of an in-game macro that is just a renamed system. Like, Make X is just a simple macro that allows you to make, X amount of items without having to, make them and click on each individual one of them. That's all it is. And I think that
absolutely.
I think that type of interface would be totally fine. Well, not interface rather, but that type of application could be used in combat as well. With some tweaks and balances, of course, and then you take the danger out of the equation. Even if you trust the program like Auto Hockey, it's not about the software or even getting a virus as far as account safety goes. It's literally about triggering bot watch for something silly, and that's really all. That's really all I gotta say for real this time.
I just wanted to emphasize that just because people are Fortic auto attacking does not mean they're using scripts. So earlier you said You said something that sounded a little bit like that. Like, I use Fortic auto attacking every day, all day. I don't use a script. It's definitely possible.
Sure.
But continuous Fortic auto attacking, I would suspect that at least a small percentage of the people doing that are using scripts to some extent.
Yeah.
but again, just because someone's doing that does not necessarily mean they're using a script. So don't hate on all those people or something. You don't know for sure.
Yeah, Fortic auto attack is a skill based. I don't mean RuneScape skill. I mean literal like your skill based ability in real life to perform. In continuous Fortic auto attack just takes that to another level. Yeah, when you get into what I was trying, or at least trying to convey, was that like when you're doing combat along the lines of like 500% enraged Telos or hard mode Virago or something, like continuous Fortic auto attack becomes almost inhuman, and it's a lot. It's a lot to put on a single person to do that. So in that scenario, and again, you're not going to get banned if you're doing a continuous Fortic auto attack and you happen to be a human machine. That's not how you get yourself banned generally. You get yourself banned when your actions become robotic, like they become the seconds in between things become inhuman, or your mouse movements become inhuman. That's what the type of things that BotWatch looks for. And of course, there's other stuff, of course, that I will never know because they would never tell us. But again, it all boils down to: are you really going to risk your account when these things are A, possible to do anyway, and B, it would be better to talk about it and why this needs to be normalized instead of going about it and doing illegal things. And of course, like, you can't stop anyone from doing these types of things, and if you're going to do it, you're going to do it. But just be educated, be warned, and know the possibility could result in action being taken against you. And I think that it would be awesome to just have an entire like mini show or show dedicated to like the evolution of evolution of combat. And
yeah, that is cool. I like that. I like that a lot.
We should do that sometime. Just get together and talk about how to make, how to take EOC and literally just take it to the next level. Like your ideas, my ideas. Love to get Hannah's ideas. Love to get a smattering of different people. Kind of like when we did that that update with the mining and smithing PVM perspective, where we just kind of had like a huge round table. I would love to do that again. Maybe we can do that.
Yeah, that sounds fantastic. I would love to do that.
Cool. Well, that was our final topic for the day. Is there any other thoughts or opinions you want to get on the table before
just one thought. Perhaps next week will be the week where one of the patch notes is all herbs and seeds have been removed from PVM drop tables, and their input into the game will be replaced by player-owned farms. Next week, Mitch. Just believe.
If that ever happened, I'd be playing 24/7 in a heartbeat. That would just
remove herbs and seeds from PVM drop tables. Enough is enough. Jeez.
I'm with you. You're preaching to the choir here. I mean, if you're trying to rack up bonus points, I mean, you're doing it right now. Like, anyway, I appreciate you coming on and clarifying some of the points that I make, because I'm not super educated when it comes to the top tier combat. I just remembered I didn't go over the poll results. I don't think so. I will quickly run down which polls passed and which ones didn't, as far as the Ninja Quiz and Halloween poll went. So if you want the final official results, not that anything was like really close to not passing or passing, but we'll run down that real quick, and then we will end the show. And I'll be back tomorrow for the retro stream, where I'm going to be playing Pokemon Gold, and be back on Wednesday for some Stardew Valley. Thursday is still locked, and Friday is, of course, the RuneScape Weekly podcast. So fun, lots of stuff coming up this week. But real quick, we got the Omni Grigri, that passed. Show abilities that are not unlocked did not pass. Familiarization Wednesday reset passed. Duplicate skill boss and pet notifications did not pass. Chronicle absorption passed. Cut granite sandstone into the smallest piece passed. Permanent grapple hook passed. Full rune crafting pouch icon passed. Magic carpet transportation interface passed. Empty gem and coal bags into bank deposit box passed. Recolor divination wisps passed. Max buy limit on the GE display passed. Strikeworm Slayer contracts did not pass. In-area broadcasts did not pass for bosses. That one kind of makes me sad. Like, that was just adding a little bit of accountability to, like, people hosting FFA bosses, so that's sad. Cannon repairing passed. Kingdom of Miscellanea reset passed. Left-click options also passed. GE item guide prices also passed. Depositing your items also passed. And recrystallizing also passed. Halloween event as permanent content did not pass. So that event will be going bye-bye. So do it. I mean, is it gone already?
I enjoyed that event.
It might not be gone already.
I'm not sure.
It was good.
I thought it was fun. It was. I mean, it was a little easy, but it's okay.
Yeah, I had a good time though. It made really good stream because it wasn't overly difficult, so it didn't take me out of my element too much. Like there was a sliding puzzle, no big deal. I'm a master at those now, and what else was there? The I don't know. It felt really old RuneScape questy to me, and I liked that about it.
It did. It felt like it could have been a 2008 event, and I wouldn't know the difference. And
yeah,
that was fun. That was really fun.
So I really kind of enjoyed it, and I'm really looking forward to the next event coming in game because it's your typical, grind-a-thon where I could just skill and get a bunch of bonus XP. So that's
Iron Man accounts can get 99 construction.
Yep, there you go. As always. So there are your poll results, and again, I will quickly throw up. Wow, what am I? That was so.
Good one, bitch.
I need to stop doing shows in the morning because I'm just not on my game. So again, I'll throw the schedule up on screen there. Up on screen. No, that was last month. This is November now. So this is our November streaming schedule there for you. Sunday we got the Skill and Chill from 12 to 4. Mondays, and we are listening to right now, we got Scape Shots 10 to 11. Tuesday we got the Retro Stream from 12 to 3. Wednesdays the Mage Mega Show from 10 to 12. Thursday is still locked. We need 25 Twitch subscribers to unlock that block. And on Friday, we have RuneScape Weekly from 10 to 12. And if we make our sub goal, we have a sub goal stream from 4 to 9, same day. So if you are interested in helping us out, you can do so by following us on Twitch. If you really, really like us, you can subscribe. We have a sub button there for you as well. Really do appreciate that. We're looking for 25 Twitch subscribers to get the next block unlocked. And if you want, you can also tip live during the show or after the fact at tip.runeweek.com. That also helps us out. And if you love RuneScape Weekly and Scape Shots, check out our Patreon, patreon.com/RuneScape. That's the place to go if you want to support RuneScape Weekly. And you can get all the pre-shows to RuneScape Weekly podcast. That airs on our Patreon channel as well for patrons of all levels. Going to be revamping the Patreon page once again. So be looking out for that in the next few weeks. Going to have all new pricing tiers and all the archived content from previous years. I'm going to put a one flat rate, so it'll just be you want everything from the previous years, it's just this pledge, and then all the new stuff will be at this pledge, and it'll be a lot easier for people to get access to our older content and stuff. So stay tuned for that, because that's going to be a lot of work on mine, a lot of admin work to get that done. But anyway, speaking of admin, if you want to check us out on the social medias, we got a Facebook page for you, facebook.com/rsweekly. Got a Twitter page for you as well, at rsweekly. And so if you want to know when we go live, those are probably the best resources for you, besides our Discord, of course. Discord.runeweek.com is our Discord link. You can join our Discord. You can join lots of people who have taken the opportunity here. If you want raw, live, unfiltered MageVid, that is the best place to go, because as soon as I'm salty about something, I immediately start swearing in general chat about it. So it's a great place to just chat about RuneScape or really anything at all. So feel free to drop by at discord.runeweek.com. We love having individuals there to talk about stuff with. Anyway, we'll be back tomorrow and the next day and Friday and all that fun stuff. So looking forward to those streams. Thanks again for tuning in. And as always, happy scaping.